Hello and welcome to Stretford Paddock. This is Round Our Way. My name is Jay Motty and that is Scotty. How are you?
Jay, you're looking well.
I look really well. I look much better than I did yesterday.
Not
I know
more
that much.
follicle business going on.
Really hairier than I used to be. My name's Joe. Jay's not here.
No.
Despite, well, we'll get to it in a minute, Manscaped. The code has been tailored to Jay and he still can't even be here for it. But don't worry about that. How are you doing?
To be honest, I'm doing absolutely fantastic. I've not slept when I heard the news that we're going to talk about very, very shortly. I just was full of beans, man. I was debating going and get a bottle of champagne, partying and stuff. I know we shouldn't get too excited, but it's been 17 long, hard years under them, and it's not over yet, but I'm ready to party, man.
It's exciting, isn't it? I mean, obviously that's the news that the Glazers are looking and ready and willing and are selling Manchester United.
That sounds mad though, doesn't it, right?
I didn't think, honestly, I mean, my logical brain knew that at some point they would have to sell it because what they wanted from Man United was the maximum return on their investment, and there was, you could see we're hitting a point where things were peaking and maybe we're even slightly past the peak. So it made sense that they would sell it at some point around now. But it still somehow felt impossible.
Yeah.
It felt like they would find a way to make more money, and I guess the Super League maybe was that. And you know, we see that since the Super League has happened, a lot of things have gone in a certain direction where you think, maybe they have had enough. Maybe that was their final roll of the dice, the potential reinvestment in the stadium, them saying that they'd, we'll contact more with the fans, and they haven't really done that.
No.
And now it seems as though they've actually gone, you know what? We're probably going to get as much for this now as we'll ever be able to. Chelsea's just been sold for, what was it, 4 billion?
Yep. Something
Something like that. We'll get more than that for it because United are bigger than Chelsea. Now is the time. We've got a relatively a rival club that is sold for a good sort of ballpark amount. We can double that if we do our best. Let's get it sold. And yet, I almost thought I'd never see this day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
yeah. It's like all the dots connected, really.
Yeah.
I do think that the Super League was the sort of fork in the road. If the Super League had gone ahead, then we may not be having this conversation right now, maybe not even 20 years' time, because they were expected to make an absolute mint off the back of that.
Yeah.
I also think that they've been forced into making it quickly. I don't think it's down to the Ronaldo situation, but let's do this.
I think it has absolutely zero to do with Ronaldo. I don't think he could be less involved in this. Him coming out and saying 3 days ago, the Glazers don't care about Man United, do you think they go, sell it then? Like that, the amount of turnaround that you would be required to sell a potential 6, 7, 8 billion pound asset on a week's notice is impossible. What do you think?
And yet people are out there and they actually believe that.
I don't know if you disagree with me.
Piers Morgan as well was another one who said, amazing the transfers. Obviously, he's fucking clickbait, but the Glazers are the interview made the Glazers sell, but this has been months in preparation.
Of course.
The thing that I found really interesting is that if they have been wanting to sell since the Super League, why? Because he went heavy on the investment towards the end of the transfer window. Was that fan pressure?
Maybe. I think that their dividends have remained roughly stable over the last 15 years. I think there was 1 year where they took like 70 or 100 million out. But I think other than that, it's typically been around 10, 12 million pounds a year or 18 million pounds a year. And that 100 million that they took out was in response to them not taking any dividends for the first few years. So I think in their head they go, here's what we're making dividends. We're relatively happy with it. If whatever's left we can spend on transfers. Because in fairness to them, they've always spent money. We're one of the top spenders in the Premier League over the last decade. So it's not like we don't spend money, but I think they're happy with their 15 to 18 million. Get it done. If whatever's left, you can have on transfers.
Yeah, I was having this conversation a lot today regarding United spending money, because they have done. But the issue is not always about the money that's been spent. It's the money that they're taking out of the club, but how that money's being spent. It's like if I go out to tell you can you go and get some food, and you bring back a mouldy loaf. It's not going to do the job. And that's been the problem with United. They've been going out and buying things past their sell-by date. Yeah. Cristiano Ronaldo being a prime example of that.
Or the other option is they get like a decent meal. You go, fish and chips. What's that worth? 70 quid? There you go. Keep the change.
They get good ingredients, or they get a shit cook.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I like colouring analogy. Great.
Yeah, it's great. Go and get a lovely ribeye, get yourself some asparagus, get yourself this and that, and then just put it all in a kiln and cook it at 3,000 degrees for a week. And you go, why have we got a nice meal? Everything. Yeah, because the people who are making it are fucking idiots. But yeah, there's been a lot of that. But just to get into some of the sort of smaller details here, Kaveh Solikol from Sky Sports tweeted last night, Man United are for sale. Glazer family willing to listen to offers for the club they bought in a controversial leveraged buyout 17 years ago. Expectation is, if the club is sold, and this is crucial because I want to just in a few moments move on to who the potential buyers could be. Expectation, if the club is sold, it will be to US investors. Who could come after the Glazers? Because I've almost got this feeling in my chest of like giddy excitement on one half and like it could be worse on the other half. Because as much as the Glazers are terrible, terrible owners of a football club, the exact opposite of what you would want. In terms of the moral side of billionaires and the history of billionaires in terms of how they've gained their wealth, who they've had to fuck over and keep fucking over to keep their wealth, the Glazers aren't the worst in the world by any means. They're just sort of shit businessmen who, don't care about football. We could have shit businessmen who don't care about football who also are terrible human rights abusers. And there's a part of me that thinks, I just don't want that. So what are your thoughts on what comes next? What would you like to see? Obviously, Kaveh from Sky there saying that the expectation if the club is sold it will be to US investors.
Yeah, I think it might be like some sort of conglomerate. So it might be a bunch of people. It's very similar to how Chelsea is. But Chelsea, when they went on the market, they had 200 different people that were interested in buying them. And that was Chelsea. So you'd expect United to have a hell of a lot more than that. Yeah. I know a lot of Manchester United fans want Sir Jim Ratcliffe, myself included, but there's two problems with that. I just don't see it happening. I don't think he's rich enough. And I just don't think, I think age is against him. I think if he was going to buy United, it should have been maybe 10 years ago. And anyone that comes in from a fan's perspective, we want it to be on an altruistic, view. Yeah. They want it to be like for the sport, not for making money. But obviously they're going to have to invest £5 billion. If someone's investing £5 billion, it's not like the Glazers. The Glazers were creaming off the top because they didn't put anything in. They didn't need to. Do you know what I mean? It was already a working machine. But if you're going to put £5 billion in, then surely you want it to work. Do you know what I mean?
You'd hope so, unless you're an entity that $5 billion is the equivalent of me spending 60 quid on something.
Well, that's the case with Chelsea. Sorry, not with Chelsea, with Man City and Paris Saint-Germain, and they're still, the successful clubs in their own leagues.
Yeah, I think that the emphasis that they have on making those clubs successful is improving the public image of the people that own the club, and the only way they can do that is by saying, "Look how well we've run Man City." Yeah. They can't afford to get it wrong. Because if they do, they go, not only were we sort of dubious about you as people when you bought the club, now you've also fucked it over. Whereas the Glazers didn't care about that. So that's the one thing. But as much as it pains me to say it, I know Liverpool have been ran by somewhat similar types of people to the fact that the way that United have in terms of its American investors, it's people that don't really know football, but they know other American sports. And yet they've gone from being sort of mid-table, just above mid, 6th, 7th, 4th, 5th for the last 20 years, 30 years, to all of a sudden they're one of the best teams in the world. That I would prefer that to what we've got now, wouldn't you? Like, I know it's not great, and it looks on paper to be very similar. American investors, but there are different American investors.
Of course, yeah, but I mean that wasn't sustainable because obviously Liverpool are up on the market as well at the time. And under is it Fenway Sports Group? Yeah, they've lifted European Cups. They've only lifted one league title. Yeah, and don't forget when they FSG bought Liverpool, they were at a low. They're very similar to what United are now in terms when the Glazers are about to sell. But in terms of who's going to take over, would you take someone to give United more of a punching opportunity in the league to challenge, or would you want someone who has got a human rights sort of record that's distasteful at best? Yeah. And United will be back to where they were winning Champions Leagues. Because this is the issue I have. Because I said, this is how strongly, like in 2005, just to dedicate show how much a United fan I am. When the Glazers took over, I binned my season ticket. Yeah. And when there was rumours of Saudi Arabia potentially buying Man United, I said I would never go to Old Trafford again. So if it's somebody that buys United and they've got a similar sort of human rights record to that, I was like, this is what it's like now. I wouldn't have think years ago that I'd be checking Amnesty International for countries' human rights records. I'll have them, and them. Yeah. Greece has got a decent human rights record.
Yeah, they've been doing things right for about 4,000 years now, so we can trust them. But I would, to be honest, and this, I mean, I don't even want to phrase it like that. I wouldn't go to Old Trafford again if it was a Newcastle ownership or a City ownership.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do it. I couldn't. I just don't. I couldn't financially in any way support that sort of exercise. I just couldn't do it. I'd struggle to still not love the club, obviously, watching from the outside. I know I don't have a season ticket now, but I go to Old Trafford every season and all that, and have done for 25 years or almost. But I couldn't support that in any way. Couldn't let my pocket go towards that sort of thing and supporting that. So I would rather we got an owner that had to scrape 4 billion together with their mates who cared about United, who said, I'll get rid of the debts, I can't put any of my own money in, you know, run the club like a business if you have to, make your own money, spend what you can, but that was relatively morally sound, no guarantees of trophies. I would rather that than someone who's worth 500 billion spending it on a whim and winning everything, but I can't bear to set foot in Old Trafford again.
Yeah,
personally, what would you prefer?
No, I agree with you. And I think it'd be pretty hypocritical given the sort of abuse have been given Man City due to their owners over the past few years. But if we get like an American conglomerate of people, isn't that very similar to how Chelsea ran with Bowley being the sort of figure of it?
Yeah.
My issue with that is if you get so many cooks in the kitchen, to go back to the culinary thing, there's a lot of problems that can come from it. Like how do you run the club if there's disagreements and stuff, and like who's got certain stocks and shares.
Yeah.
So I mean that could cause problems in itself. I mean, how do you feel about, because I know there's rumours of Dubai that seem quite strong, interested in putting a £6 billion bid in for Manchester United. How would you feel about like Dubai?
It's one of them. I don't know enough about each the sort of political landscape of each country, you know, whether that be the Middle East, Russia, North America, any continent you want to name. I would have to do my own research and come up with because there was talk of Jim Ratcliffe, some certain ways that he's made his money, or the ways, you know, his environmental kind of impact that his empire has brought that is less than favourable. But again, at some point, unless it's a fan-owned thing, which obviously everyone would love, there's going to be, you know, it's hard to make billions of pounds without someone or something being exploited or kind of manoeuvred in a way that would seem unsavoury to people who are used to making, you know, tens of thousands a year, not tens of billions a year. So I think from my perspective, it's always going to be difficult to see a billionaire that's gone, how did you make money? We just sold grass. Who to? Just God. Just sold it back to God. Yeah. And he paid, but like, that's not possible, is it?
People become billionaires. There's a lot of like scrupulous ways of doing it.
Yeah,
you know?
It's hard to make tens of billions, which is what you'd need, because no one's going to put 100% of their value into it unless they leverage it like the Glazers did, which I think is illegal now. No one's going to make tens of billions by going, we just treated everyone really fairly. We paid people double the you know, minimum wage, and here we are. Yeah. Because it doesn't really happen like that. So I don't know. Jim Ratcliffe is a one that obviously there was reports of him being interested in owning Manchester United. He said that, I think in the past he said that Man United isn't for sale. If it was, we'd be up for it. Or a spokesperson said, you know, we'd be interested, but it's not. Well, now it is. So now it's time for him to put his money where his mouth is, because he's supposedly a Manchester United fan, certainly someone that has expressed an interest in football for many decades, which to me is a head start on any owners that have never been into football, because, you know, theoretically he'd have some mind for what to do.
Yeah, of course.
But again, I don't know how much money he's got, whether he's willing to do this. To me, he seems like everyone's dream candidate, doesn't he?
It seems that way, but I just don't think he's got the sort of money that if our ambition as fans is to get back to the top and be like winning trebles or Champions Leagues or even league titles at this point, I just don't know if he's got that amount of money to sort of bankroll the club, because the stadium needs changing. Cristiano Ronaldo, obviously the swimming pool needs going. We've heard lots about that. The kitchen and stuff. There's a lot of work needs going. It's a lot of money going into that's just the club's infrastructure. That's before you start looking on the pitch. So there's a hell of a lot of money that needs investments. I just don't think Jim Ratcliffe's got that much that he'll dedicate from his own personal wealth into Manchester United. But you make a good point about it being football. People running the club. You can have certain people owning the club that might not have the nous for how to run a football club. Yeah. But you need people in like, I don't know, like previous like a CEO or stuff like that. That's what Man City did really, really well, because they were getting like people in who were football people from the very start and getting them to build a club. The Glazers did the exact opposite.
Yeah. they got their banker mate who helped them buy the club.
What's the logic in that?
CEO.
Even you're looking back, like, where's the logic of that?
The only logic is, we're talking about Ed Woodward, obviously, who helped the Glazers, finance the deal for Manchester United in the first place. The only logic I can see is literally as simple as, you scratch our back, we scratch yours. I don't think they could possibly have thought this is the best choice we can make for Manchester United, or even their own financial game. Because if we'd have won 4 Premier Leagues in the last 10 years, the club would be worth more than it is now. And we wouldn't have had to spend any more than we have. Maybe on investment and infrastructure we would, but in terms of transfers, we've spent as much as the teams that have won the title in the last 10 years. So the only problem is decision making. That's obvious. Spending is the same and results are worse. So that it's personnel and decision making where they've made their mistakes. And we don't need someone who's worth £500 billion to make good decisions. You just need someone who's good at making good decisions. So I'm not particularly bothered about how wealthy the owner is. When you look at the reinvestment, look at what Tottenham have done. They've got £1 billion worth of debt, but look at the stadium they've got because of it.
Do you know what I mean?
The thing is, United have got 600 million quid worth of debt, and what is that? It's not even proper debt. It's just the money that the Glazers were willing to put United into debt. So I wouldn't even be against United having to take a loan out to improve the stadium, because that makes sense. That's why you take loans, to increase your value, to increase your assets. Don't just take a loan out because we want to own it and we can't afford it. Like, there's loads of options here. It don't need to be worth someone 500 billion quid.
People don't mind being in debt if they've got something to show for it.
Exactly.
And Manchester United and the Glazers really haven't. I imagine they will have in a few months. Christmas being touted then for the Glazers to be gone.
Well, the suggestions are that there's so much going on with this. One suggestion is that the club has been up for sale for 6 months, and that actually behind the scenes, the billionaire WhatsApp groups have been buzzing away for a while now, and that it's kind of been an open secret that the Glazers were up for selling. The other suggestion is that actually no, it's go time right now. Get your offers in. We're trying to get this done as quickly as possible. I think we saw with Chelsea, it took them a couple of months, didn't it, to get everything going, and that was when they had that extra element of their owners being forced to sell.
It's a bit different, wasn't it?
So it was a different situation, but I
think they didn't have the same sort of lead time into this as we presume the Glazers have. So I really think this could move quite fast.
Yeah, me too. Especially if people, like I said, in the background, behind the scenes, have known.
There's definitely conversations, like the billionaire WhatsApp group. Imagine being part of that.
Oh. It's probably not even WhatsApp. I bet they've got their own proprietary messaging service that's just called like Black Chat. Do you know what I mean? Like dark web. Do you know what I mean? It just goes through the ether. It doesn't even use the
phones.
internet. They don't even use phones. Yeah, sinister gobs. That's what I'm thinking. Sinister web.
Yeah, I think very much that the conversations are being had behind closed doors in boardrooms around the world, because Manchester United are the biggest name in sporting history as far as I'm concerned, and with that comes merchandise and sponsorship opportunities, as the Glazers have done. Do you think then that Manchester United they've milked it for all they could? Is that why it's the end of the road?
Yeah. I think, what else are they doing now? The share price has been stagnant for 15 years, or 12 years, however long it's been on the stock market for, 10 years. The share price is the same as it was when it first got put on the market, and yet the asset value has gone up by 10 times almost? 600 million spent on it? We're looking at 6 billion. Explain that to me.
I know.
How can you be selling shares that are meant to be the value of a company? I know there's the Class A and the Class B shares. I'm not getting into the details of that, but theoretically, the world is told whatever your shares are worth is what your asset is worth, and yet the shares are worth the same as they were 10 years ago, and the asset has gone up by 10 times in value. It doesn't make sense. From a business perspective, they've smashed it. They've got everything they wanted out of this. They've stayed away. They've let people run it. The value has gone up exponentially. And they get to cash out 15 years later, and they've made clear profit. All they have to do is, I don't even know if they have to pay off the debt.
No, they don't, because
someone else can do that.
Yeah,
that's part of the sale price.
Of course. So they've done absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
What a magic one they...
Perfect for them, innit?
Yeah.
Imagine, from a business perspective, this couldn't have gone better for them. Really?
No, they'll be happy. They'll be back there in Florida peeling oranges, going that what a successful investment it was.
Yeah.
Not asked about like Manchester United's success on the football pitch. I wonder what the Tampa Bay fans think, whether they'll be getting any of the money that they make from this sale.
I doubt it.
No.
But my only worry is that United, I think we might still have a bit of a long road ahead, because there's not like a chance that this doesn't turn around immediately, or this does turn around immediately. We've got a stadium that needs redoing, a training ground that needs redoing. Even if everyone came in and went, immediately we're going to start work on the stadium. What's that, 5-10 years? How long have they been working on the Bernabeu for? We've got so much time and so much hardship ahead because of what the Glazers have done. We've got to sit through that.
Speaking of things immediately, I think there's a message there for you.
Hi, guys. It's never too early to play holiday music, and that's why Manscaped... Wait, what? It's never too early to start thinking about gifts.
About gifts.
Yeah. And whether it's for a friend or for the friends in your pants.
Friends, plural.
Ball, knob.
They're all part of the same. It's the same ballpark, isn't it?
Well, very much so.
Good pun.
Manscaped are here to do your little drummer boy a favour and clip it up with the Lawnmower 4.0. That's right, Manscaped is sponsoring the show. And with the code MOTTY20 at manscaped.com, you can get 20% off and free shipping. That's MOTTY20. J Motty, whose show this isn't even here to say his own code. We've been waiting for this for 3 years. Jay Motty wanted this, and now where is he? You're not going to see him on this channel anytime.
Finally got my own code. I'm waiting for this for years.
What is it? What's the code?
Motty20. Yeah. Named after my IQ.
Yeah, exactly.
I shave more than you. Why don't I get a code?
Yeah, that's interesting.
Or a Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0.
Well, we'll get you a Lawnmower 4.0 because it comes in the Platinum Package 4.0. That is your one-stop shop for everyone who deserves the perfect north-south divide. Yeah? That's what I'm talking about there, between stomach and bollock.
Right, okay, yeah.
So make sure you check it out. You get the Crop Preserver, the Crop Reviver. That's your ball toner. That's your ball
toner?
moisturizer. Yeah, because you put moisturizer, you put deodorant on your armpits.
Yeah.
Don't tell me those things ain't kicking up a fuss.
Yeah,
scent-wise. Yeah. And Manscaped are here to alleviate those problems. So it's not just about trimming, it's about maintaining.
Right,
Get your goods in the best situation they've ever been in.
Yeah.
Looks, smells, tastes, feels. Manscaped are here to cover you. And all you have to do is go to manscaped.com and use the code MOTTY20 for 20% off and free shipping. Now is the perfect time to buy for Christmas as well. Manscaped will sort you out. Make sure you check them out. Link to that is in the description. In case you've forgotten, we'll also get the link in the chat as well. But make sure you check out manscaped.com and use the code MOTTY20. If you think, what's the code? J Motty. And he's not even here for it. Well, he was, but he's not now. Right, thank you again to Manscaped. We've got let's get into some of the comments here. Chris says, Joe's mum is the American billionaire we need. I wish. Absolutely not, but that'd be great, wouldn't it?
Would your mum loan you the money for a football club if she was that rich?
How much has she got in this theoretical world?
Enough. She's got enough in the
10
bank.
bill.
Yeah, she's got enough in the bank.
I think she'd let me have it.
Really?
She's a very lovely, generous, kind woman.
It's all right for some, innit?
Well, it's not real. That's not a real. You can't say it's all right for some. Who's it all right for? The fictional version of me, whose mum is worth 10 billion.
My fictional mum would not.
Was she not?
No, not at all. If she was a billionaire, then I'd have to work for that dough, man. And there'd be interest rate.
Oh yeah, there'd be an interest rate,
as the gangsters used to say.
Yeah, a stunning interest rate. Right, what else we got here? Someone said that. I'm just dotting through it. There's a lot of Elon Musk chat.
Right, okay.
He's someone that in the past has expressed some sort of like for Manchester United. Let me just get the quote up. But
yeah, he put some tweet out about saying I can buy Manchester United or jokes guys or something.
He jokes about it, but then he also said, oh no, whenever I've watched football, I've always kind of liked Man United. It was kind of a half apology almost for all the fans that were gullible enough to believe he was buying us in the first place. Yeah. Would you like Elon Musk to buy United?
No, I have a friend, and so does Jay, works directly under Elon Musk, and I wouldn't want anywhere near our football club. He's nearly turned Twitter into a turkey in the space of 3 weeks, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Meltdown. Imagine now what he'd do at Old Trafford.
He'd sack all the players.
We'd have Twitter branding. We'd probably turn into we'd wear blue.
Yeah. He did. Yeah. Oh, gross. I'd have him.
Would you?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I think I would not because I like him. I think he's just awful, really. But again, he's worth loads of money. It'd be a laugh.
What's the positive of Elon Musk taking over?
Okay, the positive of Elon Musk taking over. Great question. Thank you. The first positive, he's got the cash.
Well, yes.
He can buy us.
Right.
We know that. He's just bought Twitter for 44 billion. He can buy us for 6. That's the first positive. Yeah. The second positive is. That's it. But he's rich. But he's not. He's of a background that is somewhat less questionable than most other possible investors. Tesla making electric cars, that's all right. I know obviously we can talk about where they have to mine the stuff for the batteries.
Yeah.
And all that. I get that. There's always problems. But he's not like made a career of exploiting people too much as far as billionaires go.
Okay. If Elon Musk bought it and he give it someone else to run,
Yeah, great.
because he just seems very sort of haphazard with his projects, doesn't he? His Twitter is going to the moon, his fast cars.
He wants to be famous too much.
But he's already got that.
I know.
I'm not too sure if I'd have Elon Musk.
wouldn't-
Someone said Richard Branson to me the other day.
But hang on a sec. He's on the cusp of bankruptcy every 6 weeks. Like, you read an article saying how Richard Branson grew from this to this. And then every other week you go, Richard Branson needs this to work. Otherwise it's going to be like Virgin Atlantic, Virgin Galactic, Virgin Fantastic, whatever it's called.
You're going poetry again.
Like Willy Wonka. Do you know what I mean? Come with me and you'll be in a world of almost on the cusp of bankruptcy for 40 years.
Yeah.
Like,
he's the richest broke man in Britain.
I don't know what is he rich?
He's richer than me and you.
Branson.
He's got an island down here or something.
See, it says 3.9 billion USD.
So he can't even afford us.
No offense to him as well, but he's been a billionaire since the 90s.
Yeah.
Why has he made no money in 20 years?
I'm not too sure. He always looks like a really tired lion.
Yeah, he does.
You've seen
looks like
you've seen the Lion King scar at the Lion King. Looks like someone's not found a hyena to eat for a good few weeks.
He does look like that. He's someone, or someone that got hired to play the lion got hired to play Aslan in The Lion, the Witch and the Wardrobe in a stage version, and he didn't need any prosthetics. They just picked him because of his look. But
Amateur dramatic Aslan.
So crisis hit Virgin Atlantic files for bankruptcy. This was a BBC headline, and now it's worth $1 billion. So who knows?
Yeah.
He always seems to be on the cusp of a meltdown, so I'm not particularly enamoured by him. People seem to like Elon Musk.
Yeah, I mean that's the go-to name, isn't it? Obviously made a statement there that he wants to be famous, and that's why he's the name to go to. I think that United be owned by someone. It'll either be Dubai or someone that like a company over there, or be an American conglomerate. I don't think we really know the names of who's going to own Manchester United.
No,
I just know that they'll be very, very rich, and I hope and pray that they're better than the shower of bastards that we've just had, and have people who are running the club that's football. But for the here and now, we can only concentrate on. So for me, it's time to celebrate as Manchester United fans.
Yeah,
we didn't think we'd be doing that during the World Cup. I thought it was going to be a slow 4 weeks.
No, absolutely not. Manchester United are being sold. Ronaldo's gone. Might get a new striker in January. We'll be talking more about that tonight at 9 o'clock. Me and Jay will be here for Stretford Paddock Live, going through all of the possible Ronaldo replacements. What's going on? How much can we save? Do we need a right back? All of that will be covered. Thank you, Scotty, for coming down for Round Our Way. Thank you again for that poem. That was phenomenal. If you haven't seen that, if you came late, that'll be out on our socials in a few moments. So make sure you go and check that out and give Scotty a follow as well. Check out the Scotty and Motti podcast, where you can see Scotty and his namesake, Jay Motti, who's...
You're better at plugging my shit than I am.
Well, that's good. That's why I'm here. Jay Motti, who also is the inspiration for today's Manscaped code Motti20
yes,
for 20% off and free shipping. The link to that is in the description. Thank you to everyone for watching. Hit subscribe if you haven't already. And like I said, check out Scotty as well. Thank you for coming down. I'm saying a lot of words, but what I really want to say is, we'll see you in a bit.